Overwatch is looting Paladins' grave with this new update. It's a bold statement, I know, and it's only partially true, so let's talk about what they're doing because honestly, it's pretty interesting. So, as you guys know, of course by now, Paladins is basically dead. I made a video about it a week ago. It was absolutely blockbuster news and honestly, quite devastating. Basically, everyone at Evil Mojo, which is the development studio behind Paladins, was laid off by Hi-Rez, and Paladins will no longer be receiving updates, so effectively the game's dead. Servers are still online, you can still play the game, but it's only going to get smaller and smaller from here, especially as the game no longer gets updates. So that's a big deal. And now, Overwatch over here has come out with its own update, detailing what's coming in seasons 15 and 16, and a lot of it is very similar to things that are in Paladins, as a lot of people have pointed out. But how valid are these claims? How similar is this update to Paladins? Well, let's take a look at what they've actually done, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So, let's talk about their new character, Freya. She is coming in Season 15, and she is a red-headed Nordic woman with a crossbow, which is really freaking cool. I love it. She looks absolutely phenomenal. But when a lot of people saw her, they immediately pointed out that she looks very similar to one of the oldest characters in Paladins, and that is, of course, Cassie. Another red-headed woman with a crossbow. Give Freya a bird, and honestly, she would look like a Cassie skin. And by gosh, I mean, I really wish we got a Cassie skin that looked like this, because she does look absolutely incredible. Maybe I just have a weakness for women like these, I don't know. But, yeah, so Freya is very clearly similar to Cassie. However, I don't think she's exactly ripping off Cassie. It's not like Paladins invented red-headed women with crossbows, and also, she does seem to play rather differently to Cassie. If we take a look at her gameplay teaser, well, first of all, we can see that she's got a rapid-fire crossbow, which is not at all similar to Cassie. Cassie has a much slower cadence when it comes to how she fires her bolts. They hit much harder, and they don't fire nearly as fast. So already very different, but then it gets even more different because, well, apparently, Freya is able to fly and shoot explosive crossbow bolts rapidly like that, which is pretty cool, of course. And she generally just has a lot more verticality, and her ultimate is completely different, as you can see here. Her ultimate allows her to basically vortex grip in people with her bola and combo with other ultimates to deal massive damage. So the gameplay honestly really isn't like Cassie. She looks a lot like Cassie, but I do really feel like that's where the similarities end. And so, you know, it is kind of funny to point out the comparisons. Oh, wow, this looks like a Cassie skin. And I'm on board with it, and honestly, she looks great, and I wish Cassie had a skin like this. But yeah, it's not really stealing from Paladins as much as the other stuff in the update. Which brings us to the fact that they're basically adding talents and loadouts to Overwatch, which honestly does seem pretty interesting, and it's also something that they did tease for the release of Overwatch 2 all those years ago. Oh my goodness, it's been years already? What the heck? This is crazy. So yeah. Let's take a look at this. So basically, the first thing that's coming in Season 15 is the ability to pick perks for characters. You'll get a minor perk and a major perk as the match goes on, and you basically get to choose between two different options that dramatically change your gameplay. Very similar to talents from Paladins, but definitely with a different spin on them, because in Paladins you get 3 talents at the start, they all change your playstyle in major ways, and you only get to choose one at the very start of the match, and it defines your gameplay for the entire rest of the game, whereas this is a more dynamic system that changes your gameplay throughout the match. So, as you can see here, we have a sort of default demonstration. We have Orissa's perks here. So we have a protective barrier. You can replace the javelin spin with a barrier, harkening back to Orisa from Overwatch 1, and then we also have the charged javelin, which allows energy javelin to be charged, increasing its speed and knockback and piercing enemies at full power. So you have two very powerful options here. And yeah, these do look very similar to talents from Paladins. For example, you might compare this to Makoa, where he has a barrier talent that allows his half shell to be deployed on the ground and no longer be channeled. That's pretty cool. And then he also has a talent that drastically improves his ultimate, or allows him to do more damage after his hook. So these are very similar to Paladin's talents, but they are a sort of fresh spin on them. And to be honest, I do think it's very interesting, and I'm curious to see what each character's talents, or perks rather, will look like in this game, because Well, I was curious about it all the way back when they were teased before Overwatch 2 even came out for the PvE. And it does appear that this will be part of the PvP as well, which is very, very exciting to me as someone who enjoys this type of system in Paladins. However, there's something even bigger coming in Season 16, which is the Stadium game mode, which, as you can see on the screen right now, contains a whole load of different items that you will be able to buy for your characters as the match progresses. And this is another system that's been in Paladins pretty much since the very beginning, where you get to evolve your character as the match goes on by purchasing different items that will reduce your cooldowns or increase your movement speed or allow you to destroy shields faster or anything like that. And Overwatch is doing their own take on this system with the Stadium mode here. Now, this is also an iteration on what Paladins has, because this actually seems to go actually a step beyond. You have these sort of general items that you can buy here on this screen that boost various aspects of the character, but you also have what appears to be hero-specific items. So, for Juno here, you have a bunch of things that will all change how she works, kind of like cards from Paladins a little bit. And to be honest, this does also seem pretty cool because Overwatch does have quite an enormous roster of characters with a bunch of unique kits that would be really cool to modify in different ways with a card or talent or item system similar to what Paladins has. And again, this was something that was teased all the way back at the original launch of Overwatch 2 when it came to the PvE, but this Stadium mode is again a PvP thing, which means it's more in line with Paladins because it's, Paladins has had this in his PvP for years. So, yeah, is this copying Paladins? Well, I mean, to an extent, you could say they were inspired by Paladins, yes, because Paladins did do this first, in terms of having a hero shooter with customization elements of this variety. But it does seem to have a lot of its own unique flair. Obviously, it's being applied to the Overwatch characters, many of which are completely different to Paladins characters, and so it will be something that seems pretty fresh, seems pretty fun, and I am definitely interested in trying it out, because this is something I wanted to see from Overwatch 2 originally, all these years ago. Doesn't forgive the whole bait and switch that they did with us at the launch of Overwatch 2, where they just went back on it, didn't give us the PvE, didn't give us the customization until just now. But it does seem like it has a lot of potential, and at the end of the day, as someone who was a Paladins YouTuber for 8 years of my life, I really want other game studios to take what Paladins did best, which was the customization, the fluid gameplay, the unique characters, all that stuff, and do it better. I want there to be a game that does Paladins better because Paladins did have a lot of flaws, bugs, crashes, bad matchmaking, the list goes on and on. It wasn't really polished, and one thing that Overwatch does do insanely well is polish. So, I mean, if they can do this better, then I will tip my hat to Blizzard and give them the credit where it's due. It is very exciting to me, especially since Overwatch does seem to be getting a lot of updates for the future. It doesn't seem like the game's shutting down anytime soon, unlike our beloved Paladins. So I am very excited to see where this goes. Yeah, we can, make fun of them for copying Paladins all we want. But they do really seem to have something pretty exciting and interesting here, and I will be trying it out. You remember what I said about Marvel Rivals being great for the category because it's going to convince other studios to step up and do better? Well, this is Overwatch attempting to step up and do better, and I hope it works out well. At the end of the day, I don't wish any harm towards Overwatch. I don't want to see Overwatch fail. I'm very disappointed by what happened to Overwatch 2 over the past few years, but if they're able to turn around and make the games into something really freaking cool, then hey, that's awesome. I will happily come and play Overwatch again. So, yeah, really excited to see where this goes. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. And if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, do all the YouTube stuff because it really, really helps me out, especially in this difficult time. I'm a Paladins YouTuber whose game just died. So, it's not very good. So any support is greatly appreciated. And with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.